Yeah, that looks good. Things are about to get a lot more interesting. Howdy y'all! How are y'all doing? It's me, Jaquil the Eagle again, coming at you with DevLog 9 of Punchball. As you may have heard in the last DevLog, I cut my workload in half, only doing 5 worlds instead of 10, and I'll add the other 5 in updates as we go on. We figured out the button issue I was having in World 2 and finished it up, and now we are working on World 3, and this was way faster than any world yet. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the very first thing to do, as usual, was to create the first level and get the basic aesthetic down. For this world, I did a clash of the 80s synthwave aesthetic that I'm going to do for the rest of the game, and a Matrix-style cyberpunk aesthetic. So I went with black and orange for the border and did a neon green field, but I eventually changed the orange to yellow as I thought it would be more subtle and not as eye-catching, but it still looked nice. After that, the process was pretty much the same for World 2. I copied the basic stuff over to each world so they can get the same treatment as I did World 2. Then it was off to the new old humdrum task of adding the levels of the build settings, setting up the button scripts, and then setting up the buttons themselves. Boring, tiring, but I got it done in about 2 hours. I'm getting way faster at doing these guys. As boring and as humdrum as it is, I've gotten the groove down, allowing me to get through these fast. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually think I got done with the level 1 basic gameplay down first. I'm not sure. I'm writing all of this after the fact. Either way, I got both of those things done. I had an interesting idea for the gameplay using the tiny balls and the death balls. You see, the tiny balls each had 2 points when you hit them, and they were going to be spawning 10 at a time. So this means that no matter what you do, you're going to score exceedingly high. So to counter this, levels 1 through 10, your score limit increases. But with levels 5 through 10, the number of death balls increase from 1 on the field at any given time up to 4 at any given time. So you have to be very dodgy trying to hit the balls. After all that was done, my noob self thought I was done. But I wasn't. Alright, everything's looking good so far. Let's see how it goes. What? Seriously? This put me at a bit of a delay. But I just saw it as extra time behind the wheel, and extra grow time for the last video and my YouTube channel altogether. So I went back and fixed the panels for the openers and left the level complete panels for now. Then I went to test play levels 5 through 10 as I had already completed and tested 1 through 4 and they were ready to go. And then I immediately had my idea about the death balls challenged. What happened is that for level 5 I would never make the required 200 score within the allotted time. This wasn't good because this was the halfway point for World 3. If it was this hard to complete it, then level 10 would be impossible. But then I saw the light. The bright, shiny, PNG light of a new specialty ball. The Time Ball! Since I was always running out of time in these levels, I thought of giving out a specialty ball that gives you an extra 5 seconds on the clock, so that way you have a little bit more time. So I went to the Google and grabbed a couple of PNGs, and then pulled up Inkscape to remove the backgrounds. Ugh. I hope it looks better in Unity. Oh. Cool. Here at this point, I came across another issue, but I actually solved it this time with some expert Googling and some basic detective work. What was happening was that I would make the time ball spawner and the time balls and start the game, but they wouldn't appear when they were supposed to. As always, this was odd because, as always, I made sure I did everything correctly and set up the spawners and the scripts exactly how they were supposed to be. I removed the prefab, which is how I can spawn many of the same objects, and added the base asset to the scene. I resized it like normal and made it into a prefab again, and it still wouldn't work. It was at this point that I finally realized that repeating the same steps probably wasn't going to help. At this point, I decided to add a debug.log code to see if the ball was actually spawning. I added it underneath the line that commands the ball to spawn, so I knew exactly when it spawns and no earlier or later. I pulled out the console to another screen and watched it, and sure enough, it was spawning. So I knew it was spawning, but I couldn't see it. I figured there might be something wrong with the sprite renderer, so I redid the sprite again, and still nothing. At this point, I consulted the Google. I looked up my problem, and one of the first things I saw was to make sure the balls were not spawning behind the camera. I didn't think about this as a possibility, but it made sense. So what I did is turned off the main camera and looked at the game through the scene view, and there it was! So I knew I wasn't crazy and the ball was actually there. But at this point, I had to figure out why the ball was behind the camera. I went ahead and clicked on the prefab for the time ball and the camera to take a look at their Z values, and the ball was in front of the camera? I then decided to mess around with the values for a while to see if that would help. Then I thought about it. Doesn't the ball just spawn wherever the spawner is? Maybe I should check the ball in game. Hey guys, another quick thing. At the time that I'm recording this portion and working on this, it is just struck 12 a.m. January 1st, 2022. So happy New Year's to everybody, and I hope you all have a much better year than the last 2 or 3 years. And I wish you all the best of luck in all of your endeavors, and may all the blessings come to each and every one of you. So happy New Year's, guys, and let's continue on. So what I did is I waited for the ball to spawn, and once it did, I clicked on it and checked its Z value, and guess what I found? It's just being spawned into oblivion. So I figured out it was the spawner, and I fetched it back out and put the Z coordinate back to where it was supposed to be, and everything was fine after that. Then it was playtest time! I started with level 5, and the balance had yet again been tipped towards the player. This was getting annoying, because I was getting way more than intended in points again. But I slowed down the time ball spawn and then copied everything to the next levels. Now it's on to the final playtest. I hope. Okay, so it looks like we need another refinement measure. After level 7, even with the time ball, the 4 death balls on screen was making things just a tad bit too hard. However, the solve was still pretty easy. I just added another spawner, and there you go. Also, when I played, it didn't matter too much, but I also went ahead and added a coroutine to destroy the time balls after 5 seconds. And you know what, guys? The entire endeavor only took 3 days. This is honestly going way faster than I thought it was going to be, but I'm okay with it. Next time I will be working on World 4, and if I need to for the next DevLog, I'll fit in World 5. Then after that, it's down to the aesthetics, sound, and music. Also, guys, keep an eye out for more news and sneak peeks of the new upcoming game, codenamed Project Valhalla. This is the first game in my video game universe, so stay tuned for those. Once again, y'all, thank you all so much for the support. I'm getting closer to my first 100 subscribers, and my views are climbing at a very quick rate. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment on the video, and subscribe. Every bit of help is more than appreciated. Have a great, blessed day, guys, and as always, don't forget your coffee.